So today we're gonna talk about the Garcia Revo SX SS, which is the first baitcaster from Garcia on the European market since the EXD that features a shallow spool. I wanted the shallow spool for light perch fishing and light chub fishing, but let's talk about that later. It features the asymmetrical frame design, which is very nice to palm. It has got a clean, simple paint job with some design elements, but nothing too fancy. You get a clicking spool, which I think is nice. You get a clicking drag star, a clicking spool tension, a clicking dial for the centrifugal brakes, and you have got a very firm thumb bar with no unnecessary play. Also, the knobs and handles are very tight, very nice. And actually, this SX SS reels very nicely. And it is extremely smooth for an Abu Garcia. I was surprised at how smooth it is, because normally Abu Garcias tend to be a tiny bit geary, but this one is extremely nice. On the bottom you get a little loop port for greasing your gears. I actually like to take it apart into a proper job, not the sloppy job you can do with this. So for light lure capability. If you look at this reel, you see that there are these huge knobs, almost like kayak pedals, and this full metal handle with no ports. This shows that this reel was designed for strength and not for light lures. If you have a look at what it was actually designed to do, it is American techniques for bass fishing, like skipping, pitching and flipping. With flipping, pitching and skipping, you have short distance fishing. You have got no long casts, so you don't need a lot of line. With pitching and flipping, you present your lure directly in the cover and you horse the fish out as soon as it bites. Otherwise, it will get stuck in the cover. With skipping, you skip the lure on the surface of the water, and if you backlash and you've got a lot of line in there, you can ruin a lot of line, and it is hard to pick out the backlash. But if there's only a tiny amount of line on there, you don't have to throw away that much line, or it is easier to pick out your backlash. So it actually is built for strength and for torque and for short distance casting. So can it still do light lures? Maybe. Let's see about that. Let's take out the scale. You can open the Baitcaster up here. Pull out the non-handle side plate and you can see the brake system. This is the IVCB6. Those tiny little brake arms are pushed out and they rub against this metal ring if there is enough rotational force. So with this brake dial you can either push the ring out or push it in to get more or less friction. Unfortunately, you can not engage or disengage those brake shoes individually. They are just always activated. I was hoping for a spool with a weight of around 10 grams or less. So let's see. 16.24 grams. This is really crazy. This is way more than I was hoping for. And well, that's kind of a disappointment for me. But I took the risk because once I saw the shallow spool, I couldn't resist and I just had to get it. So what does this mean for you? I've fished this reel for quite some time now, and I think it is fun to fish down to like 5 grams. Everything below 5 grams is not fun anymore. So I used it as a frogging reel with braid. I used it to cast lures down to 5 grams with fluorocarbon, and that's what I really loved to do with this reel. I also put on Gomexus handles with smaller knobs because I couldn't stand these giant knobs, even though they feel very nicely in hand, but it's just too much for me. So if you're looking for a BFS reel, this is not your reel. If you're looking for something extremely sturdy that can handle lures down to 5 grams, this Abu Garcia Revo SX SS might be your choice.